Hey everyone, welcome to the Brown Perspective. This is your host RO, and I'm here with my co-host Eduardo. ¿Cómo estamos?
Aquí, en fuego.
En
No,
fuego.
literalmente en fucking fuego.
It's
We're
been a
burning
crazy
up.
week here.
I know you pull up some of the images and you know it's bad. I mean, those images are bad, but it got to that level here in Southern California because of the two fires happening right now. So it wasn't as yellow, but I could definitely feel like I was in the middle of a post was it a post
Apocalyptic.
apocalyptic.
You know what's crazy is for the first few days, all you heard about was the fires up north, and then you were
Hmm.
getting all these images of San Francisco, and then Oregon started going up in flames as well. But all
No.
all the while, the major coverage, like if I went on the internet and I just saw what was going on, none of them were really focusing that much on the ones here in Southern California,
No.
close by. But then, as these fires were happening, and I'm listening to about the San Francisco and then Oregon, I keep looking out the window and I'm seeing an orange haze as well. Not as bad as this
Yeah.
one, but and I'm wondering like and I'm thinking, yeah, there must be fires around here as well, but there must be so small that they don't even get attention because there's way bigger fires up there.
There
So
are. Well, actually, I think the three to four largest fires the state has ever had, the state of California has ever had,
yeah,
are happening right now.
yeah,
So
and
it's crazy.
yeah, but again, the ones that are here burning close to us, they're pretty big fires, and the air quality here is not it's not great either. But
Nope.
on top of that, there's even worse fires up north that they don't the
Hmm.
ones that we have here don't even get much coverage.
Yeah, I think the ones down here, and I know it's been bad because I think it was on Tuesday that I woke up and there was ash all over the car, all over the yard, and I was like, either our neighbor had like a really amazing party last night, or these fires are so close that we're getting the effects. But then I think the only reason that the Southern California fires are getting coverage is because the way that one of them started, which is a baby reveal party.
Yeah, exactly. And
And I know you and I talked about last week about baby reveal party, so I think this could be your opportunity to make them right.
to make what right, the baby reveal parties.
Yeah, to make a environmentally conscious reveal party.
Just don't burn anything.
I know.
And what kind of
Cut the
parties are
cake.
what kind of parties are you going to where there's a thin layer of ash on stuff at the end of that party?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have people spontaneously combusting at your parties?
It's hot in here. It's so hot in
Right?
here.
Well, if when I see this, what I think about is if there was any doubt at all about global warming and the fact that each year these fires get worse and worse here in California. What do you think the excuses are? I haven't even bothered much to see if people are making excuses that this is not related to global warming. Have you heard anything?
I think um, I think most people in the state know that it's global warming. I think a lot of people who don't live in California who are not experiencing this right now think that, oh, we're just exaggerating, and California just wants to impose their their sort of laws across the country. And it's true because I think we, as for some weird reason, we are the states that kind of is going through all these trends that I think the country eventually goes through. So like climate change, population change, all of this change. And I feel we're like 50 years before the country, and everybody's just kind of catching up.
Yeah, and I was reading earlier about just global warming, and it said that the it's 2 degrees hotter than it,
Hmm.
it would be without the conditions that we are creating to that contribute to global warming. And so that just means that it's drier. Maybe the dry season extends longer. There's the drier vegetation, which is a tinderbox for these fires. And
Hmm.
but these are some of the other statistics that I was reading earlier are pretty amazing. That on the one hand, it is global warming that's contributing to this, but also humans don't make the situation any easier for ourselves because
No.
in there's a number of things that we do that contribute to this. One of them is I didn't even realize that 95% of people in California live on 6% of the land. That's it. 6%
Wow.
of the land in California is where 95% of the population is. But each year we keep building and building more into the territories that have just historically been areas that have fires, seasonal fires, because
Hmm.
California has always had fires. The other thing that I read is that um, the specific preventive policies that California has enacted, meaning prevent fires at all cost, has also contributed to this because fire is just a natural process, and a lot of the times when you have smaller fires, they burn away all of that undergrowth, and
Yeah.
so that it basically takes away the fuel that's gonna fuel these bigger fires. And then
Hmm.
I found this report that had been done on NPR about California turning to the tribes to learn
Hmm.
from what Native American tribes have known for a long time in terms of fighting these fires.
Yep. So in some ways, racism and climate change are part of the reason why we're en fuego right now.
Hey, how about
And I
that for
think, and by the
intersectionality,
way,
right?
exactly. And by the way, your president said that we just had to do a better job of picking up the leaves and cleaning things up over here.
Of course, you would say that.
Well,
I
obviously,
wouldn't
what the
expect
tribes
much
have
more.
done,
Yeah.
yeah, and of course, what the tribes have done for so many thousands of years is do what will help the situation.
Yeah, to this 4 minute listen here, I won't play it, but this article here gets into how in California, even I believe over 100 years ago, when those in the east started moving in here, the settlers or slash invaders, whatever you wanna call the new wave of people that were moving in here, when they came,
Gentrifiers.
the gentrifiers, when they came and they set up government and then they started imposing their rules on the native people, they one of the things that they outlawed was cultural fires, or these cultural burnings as they're called. um and but if you just think about it, it just makes sense. If you know that the land is prone to fires, and if you have so much dry vegetation, then if it's going to take a lightning strike or some other accident to cause a huge fire that'll ravage everything, then you try to make small fires throughout the year to put them out. And according to this report here, the Native American tribes burn up to thousands of acres a year, or could be burning up to
Hmm.
thousands of acres a year, if these policies were not in place that prevented them from doing this. And so yeah, so it's good to see that the governments, that they're finally acknowledging that there's some things that the Native Americans know better. They've been doing it for so long, and let's turn to them and let's ask for
Hmm.
let's bring them to the table and let's ask for their guidance to help us through this.
Yeah, and that also happened in Arizona. And actually, part of the reason why it happened was because, the natives were able to keep their side of the woods nice and clean. But then, since there was federal land so close to it, then the fires could come over. So they actually offered, like, hey, you guys, like, we know how to do it. You guys need it. You guys complain that you don't have the manpower. We know how to do it. We can do it, and then you just pay us, and we can help clean the forest clean for you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I didn't mention earlier was that also a lot of these fires are man-made, either because naturally you're going to get fires as a result of lightning,
Hmm.
but a lot of the fires, I think over 50% of the fires that we have in California are started by humans, either directly or indirectly. So people like in this gender reveal party, somebody maybe throwing out a firecracker or some other explosive, and
Hmm.
then also power lines.
Yep,
power
power
lines fall
lines.
and then they burn. So PG&E is being sued for billions of dollars, right? Because of the fires, not this year, but the fires in the previous years. And this year they proactively shut down, cut off power in certain areas if they think that's going to help the situation.
Yeah, which impacts. I think it impacted close to over 100,000 people who live in very remote areas. And yes, that's great because you, on one hand, you prevent wildfire, but on the other hand, you also have people who are relying on their power, and who knows for how long they need to have not have power. So that's problematic that the company hasn't done more to make sure that they don't have to resort to that last minute measure.
Yeah. And also, just think about the air quality as well. Right now, San Francisco and Oregon have the worst quality in the entire world.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
think,
because you smell it, and then those particles, um, it's not just the ash, but all the article, the gases and things like that. You do definitely feel a difference in the air quality if it smells like wood is burning, because that's exactly what's happening.
yeah, especially if it's burning houses or trailer parks, just think of all the chemicals that are being released, and then
Hmm.
that moves, the wind carries it, and that's people are inhaling that. So that's why here in Southern California, they recommend, especially for pregnant women, not to go out in these conditions. I know that there's a general recommendation. But again, we had an episode about a few weeks ago about the the working class people, those that are out there mowing lawns and doing construction,
Hmm.
about how they have it especially hard when it's extremely hot, and now they're also the ones out there working in these conditions. Fortunately, they have the masks on, but still, they're inhaling a lot of this.
And why do they have the mask on? Because of COVID-19 and the fact that we're still living through a pandemic. And that's the interesting thing too, because a lot of places were open and people are still eating outside, believe it or not,
Yeah.
because they're going to restaurants, and restaurants can really only serve outside. So it was crazy just driving before recording that, you see people still going to restaurants, going to swap meets. They're still out and about. And the crazy thing is, like, people were trying to little by little be able to go outside to avoid the sort of the claustrophobia, and also try to do it safely. But now we have fires, which just makes the situation even more complicated. And I know in some counties they are giving restaurants permission to serve inside for indoor dining, but obviously that opens the possibility for a COVID sort of a resurgence. So yeah, it's crazy how these disasters are coming together.
Yeah. Although down here in Southern California, it doesn't look like this, like the way
No.
that it looks in San Francisco with this crazy orange haze. But so I think in Southern California, a lot of people are just treating it the same way that a lot of people dismiss secondhand smoke, where they say,
Hmm.
well, something's going to kill you anyway. And then they don't seem to be bothered by it, or they don't care. And so I'm not surprised that a lot of people are going out there, because it's probably not, look, short term exposure to it is probably not going to significantly affect your health. It's right. Because otherwise we'd have a crisis on our hands if that were the case. So it just means that if people already have conditions, or if people are already smokers, or if they already have other conditions that affect their health in a negative way, then this is just going to affect it even more.
Yeah,
And it
make it
might,
worse.
for a good percentage of the population, it might push them over. It might be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Hmm.
And let's see, the other story that's related to these fires is the one the Governor Newsom changing the, or putting forth a a bill, I believe, to change the ability of prisoners, once they get out of
Hmm.
jail, to be able to apply for jobs, especially as firefighters. Or do you know if it was restricted to just firefighting, or is it going to also be in other areas?
Well, firefighting specifically, because the what was happening now, and one of the reasons that the state is having difficulty dealing with the fires is that usually the state does use prisoners to fight fires, but the unfortunate thing was that these prisoners got the training, got the experience, fought on actual fires, and after they served their time and they try to re-enter society, they weren't not able to get jobs as firefighters. So I believe that, yeah, he did sign that bill that was introduced by a Latina legislator,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, to make that, to address that how would you call it, that racist policy, that
Yeah,
because in some respects it was racist,
well, it
but it
it
just
ends
didn't make
up
sense.
it ends up disproportionately hurting low income communities, whether
Hmm.
intentionally racist or not. The outcome is it produces a skewed result that disproportionately affects certain communities because it's the poor communities that are over policed,
Hmm.
and therefore, and also if they deny resources to those communities. I mean, we've talked about this at length before, but it's like you have this pipeline that puts people into prison. They come out, they can't get jobs, which means they have to turn to violence again, which means that they just go back into prison, and it's just a cycle. So it's good to see a move in the positive direction, because if see, I have a very superficial understanding of just exactly what the level of involvement is with these prisoners when they're battling wildfires. Because I at first when I heard about it, I thought, okay, maybe the prisons just make these prisoners available for a day or two. They go and they do certain things to contain fires, and then other small things to just aid the firefighters. But it sounds like
Hmm.
they're actually doing a lot more than that, to the
Yeah,
point where
no, they're
they're
the firefighters. They're fighting
right.
those
But
fires.
I mean, how involved are they? Meaning, do they have firefighters come to the prisons to give them training? And how thorough is that training? Do they get 3 hours of training, or are they receiving months of training in anticipation for the fire season? And that's what I
Good
mean.
question. I don't know. I don't know what the question. I'm sure they do receive some training, and I guess if you've done this for a few years, eventually I'm sure you'll pick up some tips and some training on the field, or
Yeah,
I'm sure they probably have some training because I know that at least they need to know how to cover themselves
yeah,
in that special equipment that they have when the fire turns. So
yeah.
it's a risky job
But also,
for
when I
sure.
when I asked earlier if it was specifically for them trying to become pro firefighters once they leave prison, the reason why I ask is because I don't really see why you would limit it to just that. Because if you trust them enough to go out there and fight fires,
Hmm.
if you trust them enough to also come out of prison and apply to be pro firefighters, it's think of all of the skills and all of the training and all of the discipline that is required to be a firefighter. So you're telling me
Hmm.
somebody can be qualified to be a pro firefighter just based on the training and experience that they received in prison, but then that can't transfer to other fields? Of course it can,
Hmm.
because a lot of what it takes to succeed in corporate America, those are the attributes that you would have as a pro firefighter. So why is it being restricted just to that? What about management positions in other fields, or what about? I mean, there's so many different areas where they can apply those skills, and so that's why
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's not more broad.
Well, the reason is because this is kind of like the thing that has political support and makes sense because people fundamentally understand the relation between, we trained in and gave these folks the opportunity to be firefighters. We need them. Why not just allow them to continue to work in those fields which are needed, which is tough and nobody else wants to do. And I think then if you talk about a broader lifting of that, I think then people may have some more issues. So I think, the policy is get them started here, and then eventually, hopefully, in a year or two, there will be other attempts to open up other fields that make sense. Because I think in some ways, what's happening, it's like peeling the onion of racism and systematic oppression. So it just sometimes you got to do a layer by layer until you get to hopefully to a fair, more just job market and
Yeah,
policies in general.
if that's the long term strategy, or if that's a long-term plan and this is part of the strategy to get us there, then yeah, I agree with you, because ultimately, like you said, it would be harder to make it broader. Maybe you could make it initially also for fields that are related, or you could highlight that these qualities transfer. For example,
Hmm.
I know that when people that fight in the military, when they come back and then they apply for a job, I've personally seen this, that they say, oh, we got somebody that's ex-marine or ex-military. Oh, they come with amazing discipline skills, amazing this and that, all these like qualities and things that they've learned. So people know that a lot of
Hmm.
these attributes are transferable. And if you're a firefighter, it's not easy being a firefighter. So
Mm-mm.
again, but yeah, I understand it. This is just a strategy, and hopefully in a year or two, I'm hoping that there's pressure also from the people, and to make it so that convicts can come back and get reintegrated into society by being able to work, and not only, and also the whole thing with voting, right? They shouldn't take away your voting rights if you have a felony, because a lot of the times people don't understand that in these over policed communities, it's so easy to end up with a record. And if
Yeah.
that's going to strip you of your right to vote, then again, it ends up becoming a racist policy, even if it wasn't designed to work that
No,
way.
but it was though. I mean,
I know. I'm, I'm trying to already. I'm just putting it out there that even if people claim that it wasn't designed to be racist, it ends up functioning
having a racist effect.
exactly. Yeah, having a racist effect. All right.
No me asustes, reo. I thought you had turned on me. I was like, wait,
What
what?
do you mean?
I thought your perspective had changed in the middle of this conversation.
What do you think? It became the white racist perspective episode now.
Oh. Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
All
No,
right.
but appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
So anyway, stay safe, people. I
Hmm.
got a picture that looked just like this from one of my friends that lives up north. They were on the
Yeah,
bridge
scary.
too. Yeah. Stay safe. Wear your masks. Anything else about this topic?
Yeah, and I think that let's just make sure that we do what we can to support climate change policies because we need to start addressing this now because this is just the tip of the iceberg as to what could happen not only here in California but other parts of the country and then ultimately the world. So hopefully we can bring about some change in this important area.
Climate change isn't real.
And
All
go
right.
vote
What's that?
and go vote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Less than 2 months away. Yeah, mero. So for anyone interested in staying up to date on our episodes, on what we put out there, make sure to follow us on YouTube. We also have a Brown Perspective page on Twitter. We have the name Brown Perspective. What the handle is Brown Perspective TV at the end, because Brown Perspective was already taken. So we have to settle for what the Twitter gods and the Instagram
Sometime,
gods.
sometimes, someday we'll have money so we can buy it back. No, I think part of it was they don't allow. I think there's a limit on that, or I think no, I think it was taken too. So
I did see a limit on one of them, but I think in the other one it was already taken. So just to be consistent, because we talk in this show, we talk a lot about being
consistency
consistent. So we have the same handle on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram as well. Make us Insta famous.
and desistant.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Ok, nos vemos.